Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Unhappy All Alike, our Tolstoyan Good Society Go Around Part 2. I have reassembled the cast. They're going to come in staggering piecemeal tonight, folks, but it'll be fine. And if you're noticing that my surroundings are a little different, I'm actually on the road in Vermont, so you're going to have to suffer the video and audio quality that comes with that. But anyway, that's enough about me. I'd like to introduce our cast. So I always start with someone who has gamed with us a lot, and I'm always happy to see him appear in our games. He's the heart and soul of our Kingsport Drama Society. So Daryl, who is playing Prince Valentin Stepanovich of Volokov, better known as Valya.
Hello, I'm Daryl, and my pronouns are he, him. I'm playing Prince Valentin Stepanovich Volokova, not with the A at the end. That was unintentional. He goes by Valya. He's a gentle and shy man who has yet to marry, though not for lack of opportunity because his family is loaded. He has been deeply invested in the relationships of his friends, and he is ever so worried that his dear friend Alexandra might be straying from her matrimonial promises. And so I have taken it upon myself and recruited my good friend Tamara to help me save her from this wayward path. Let's see how that goes.
Brilliantly, I'm sure that there's absolutely nothing backwards about that in any way, shape, or form. It seems to me that the thing to do next then would be to introduce Leandro, who's playing Countess Alexandra Fyodorovna Kuznetsova, better known as Shura.
Yeah, so Shura, who I've described in the past as being totally fine. Well, how dare you question otherwise? You know, she's married to a war hero. How dare anyone think she could be doing poorly in the inside? Well, yeah. So rumors that she's being led astray by other people. Apparently, the Baroness Tamara's out to help. Not knowing that the straying leading off is kind of being inadvertently done by Tamara. Okay, all right. Well, long story short, it got really gay. That's all. That's all I'll say to anyone who's watching this. Just if you watching this, whoever's watching this has already seen the previous sessions. I don't have to explain myself. It's fine. Stuff happened. It got really warm here. It's January. It's like, what's going on? That's it. That's it.
Yeah, definitely. That was all. That's all. um, Great, now I'm broken. Um, and I'd like to introduce the next member of our cast, my dear friend who has played not enough of these, but more than enough to establish a sterling reputation. Richard, who is playing our good friend Grigory Antonovich Zinoviev, better known as Grisha.
I am playing Baron Grigory Antonovich, the older half-brother of Countess Alexandra Fedorovna. We share a mother who is slightly annoying to both of us, but we love her dearly, I'm sure. Baron Grigory comes from a slightly less financially stable inheritance than his half-sister has, and so has taken on himself to try hard to be to sort of establish himself in the world of business, to take the little bit of money his family left him, and he has embarked on a publishing business. He's staying in Moscow right now, and apartments he's outspokenly displeased with, but is sort of enjoying the break from perpetual life of a noble, to sort of like enjoy sort of the day-to-day creative endeavors of publishing. So, and is the publisher of the famed playwright Konstantin Sergeyevich.
Well, he is famous for mostly the right reasons. Yes, if you're wondering where our dear Tamara Konstantinova Yashvina, played by Serafina, is, she'll be along. She'll be along. So we'll work on this. But yes, I'm Kat. I'm she, her. I had this idea. I'm not apologizing for it anymore because this is really working. I'm playing Konstantin Sergeyevich Kadavasov, who's known as Kostya in Russia, but Connie to his friends because he has an English nickname. He is a playwright of ridiculous farces, has returned to Russia after many years, and is working on trying to get his estranged daughter to not be so estranged. That is the project has it's got its ups and downs. I'm not gonna lie. And meanwhile, he is slowly realizing that his entire artistic endeavor is only leaving him empty, and he needs to sort of maybe figure that out. But on the other hand, he could just drink. So he's been doing a lot of that too. So, given that we lack our dear Baroness, but the tumultuous events of last week, wherein the Baroness and the Countess discovered that they had some sort of simmering mutual attraction. What I'm thinking is maybe what we can do is visitation chapters where we're seeing sort of the beginning of the reaction to these events. Yeah, slowly people are filtering through society, and everybody thinks that that the Countess is having an affair with Anatoly Filipovich, Tolia, who is a handsome, if rather scatterbrained young aristocrat, but of course that's not exactly the case. And also she's Tamara's been seen in the company of Valya, so I'm sure everybody thinks that's simmering too.
I believe I had invited Valya to dinner at the end of. I'd asked that. I assumed that Valya and Tamara were becoming an item at the time, oblivious to actual circumstances. So I think I invited Valya and Tamara. I invited Valya to bring Tamara to dinner, but at my home with my in my small dining room with our very talented Georgian cook.
Yeah, I think it's like I probably sent that I would be happy to attend, but I would be arriving alone, and that I would not be joined by Tamara, who, and I wouldn't explain it. I would just like leave that like hanging in the air.
Yeah, it would definitely, acknowledge, the receipt and delight that you're coming. Just a quick note confirming time.
I think it's probably like we've already done like the formal dinner part, and we're probably like in the library or something having our after dinner beverages.
There's just one. I think it's very much a small apartment. So as soon as the dinner's served, like the cook is out, so it's just me serving brandy and like the study / library, which I think is just covered with manuscripts in progress.
I think that like Valentin is like holding his glass and then kind of like almost tiptoeing through like the stacks of manuscripts and like leafing through them, and says I say, Grisha, I honestly did not expect your publishing empire to take off with such ferocity.
Valya, he says, I think loosening his tie. He's what can I say? I have always loved books, and I am blessed with one of the smartest editors in Moscow, who is far better at this than I am, and it is the one way to get my mother to leave me alone about getting married.
Oh, is that what it takes? Then I suppose I should get into publishing as well.
Ah, you do have the eye of a good editor, I am certain.
It is a shame, though, that I abhor daily work. I should probably get over that if I am to make anything of myself.
Think of publishing as think of being the head of a publishing house is people paying you money to be an obnoxious critic who's always unhappy with everything.
You mean I could have gotten paid for it?
I have never seen you be obnoxious a day in your life.
And it's like, oh, then you must not have been looking close enough. And he like turns and picks up a manuscript off it and starts like reciting some like truly god awful poetry or something that someone's queried to you.
Be careful, Valya. That is, you could be mocking some true literary giant who submitted something under a pseudonym, and that would surprise us.
Well, if they submitted under a pseudonym, then that's for the best because this career is dead.
Valentin Stepanovich, I have never seen you be so direct and firm.
Yes, I suppose I have to find some way to get it out of me. I can never speak my mind in front of my mother.
Well, you can spend less time with your mother. That has worked for me occasionally.
Have you met my mother?
I am. The princess is a delight.
I'm sure that other people find her that way.
He says, rolling his eyes dramatically.
And he, and Valentine like puts the manuscript back down and like crosses back over and says, then you know that her delightful presence fills a room and stalks you wherever you go, whether it's Moscow or Petersburg.
Well, you haven't told her you're coming here, have you?
Oh, Lord, no. Heavens, no. I've used this every opportunity and subterfuge I could to keep her from knowing where I was going tonight. In fact, she thinks I'm on a date with one of those women that she's paired me up with again.
Oh, then you are not romantically involved with the Baroness?
No, actually. You see, Tamara Konstantinova and I are old school friends, much the way, well, not anything like you and I are, but similar. And now that she's back, I was hoping to spend more time with her to keep a careful friendship with your sister.
My sister? She is indeed very close to the Baroness.
Yes, although I wish that the Baroness would use the closeness to her advantage and perhaps sway our dear Shura away from my depraved cousin.
From Tolya? Depraved.
I know,
perhaps by Moscow standards.
I know all of you adore him, but I grew up with him, and I do not see why no one will take this seriously.
What is your concern?
I think that he
looks genuinely clueless as you say this.
And I just say, have you not heard the rumors, Grisha? I think that he has designs upon your sister.
I will not lie to you, Valya. I think he would make her happier than her current husband does.
Be that as it may, her husband is still her husband.
Valya. What is the... Does duty always have to win? Sometimes can't what makes her happy be what's most important?
If there is anything that my years have taught me, Grisha, it's that our lives are not truly our own. We must find moments of happiness where they come, but we must truly honor the responsibility that we have to those around us. It is our duty amongst our families, our friends, our country.
And what about all the rumors that her husband is not honoring his duty to her?
Well, he's a military man after all. And if there is any hope that he may be swayed back to the righteous ways, then he must not, under any circumstances, fear for his own wife's love and dedication.
Why is it that women have to take on more duties than men are willing to bear?
Sometimes I think it would be easier if we didn't have to get married at all.
Do we have to get married? It sounds so busy.
Busy? It sounds bitterly dull to me. Just a laundry list of things that you have to do over and over and over again as you both get older and become boring.
I mean, I suppose that never leaving my office and doing nothing but read other people's books all day would make me seem slightly boring. But I could live with that. But to marry like my mother wants me to for money, for no other reason than to cover for my own inability to manage the fortune my father left, would be a tragedy, especially if there were no love. And honestly, I have not yet met a woman I know I could love.
Oh, Grisha, it seems that if marriage complicates things, money poisons it all. If I could give all of my money to you and see if that fixed your problems, I would gladly do it.
Valya, I want to be perfectly clear on this. I did not invite you here to discuss your giving me money under any circumstances. I invited you here because I lack for intelligent company. Other than Tony.
Is it? And then Valentine, without thinking about it, puts a hand on your shoulder and laughs and says, "Oh, Grisha, I didn't think that you were what is the term? Punching me up for money? I knew that anytime that you invite me over, it's purely for a good time."
Thank you. I feel like with one's friends, it's important to be direct on these matters. I would indeed punch most people up for money, but please know that that is never the reason I invite you over. It is good to see you laughing. And I am very glad your mother does not know where you are, so she will not surprise us and I will not be forced to return this necktie to my neck, he says, tossing it across the room.
And then Valentine pulls at his as well and is like, "A necktie truly is a noose hung upside down."
Good God, is it not?
And I think that he goes over and starts flipping through one of those atlases and says, I say, Grisha, where would you go if you could go anywhere you wanted?
Everyone goes to Italy. You went to Italy, right?
Multiple times, yes.
My grand tour was cut short by a lack of funds, but I have been to Italy. I have been to Venice. I've never gone to England, but it sounds foggy. I want to go east. We have such an extensive, exquisite empire that most of the world has never seen, and I want to see it before everyone else does.
And then Valya stares off into the middle distance and says, What say we chuck all of our responsibilities and go on an adventure and look for brides in some far-off land?
That is the most tempting offer. However, I will need to make some money to fund it. We're planning to stay friends for another 6 months, long enough for me to achieve bestseller status and be interviewed on numerous papers for my brilliant publishing career, correct?
I
You
mean,
best give me 7.
I very much intend to be your friend for 6 months, 6 years, 6 decades.
Valya, I do not deserve that level of loyalty, but I cherish and appreciate it. He raises his brandy glass again.
And then Valia, like a little bit of like color just like flushes his face, and he like raises his glass and takes a sip as well.
But my sister's happiness, I'm concerned because if she is to have an affair, I hope she will be granted some discretion.
And then Valentine like turns towards the window and stares out and is like, Grisha, your sister has been gifted with many things, but discretion is not one of them. She insists day in and day out that she is happy, and we all know it not to be true.
She is a poor liar. My father was an exquisite one. Hers was terrible.
And I only hope that she does not get caught up in a lie that will do her true damage.
Well, then we should do our best to protect her from prying eyes. If you cannot convince her, and I know no one more convincing, that she should not do it, then we should perhaps make sure she does not suffer for it.
Perhaps I should take Anatoly Filipovich on that tour of finding a new bride in some foreign locale.
Well,
he'd be much poorer company than you.
You do not want to give everybody you don't want to give every poor woman in all of the Eastern Empire a Petersburg child, do you? Because I feel like that's what Tolya would do.
I think that is for the Zinaidas and the Yelenas and the Natashas to figure out. It's certainly better that it should be one of them than our dear Shura.
I think every child deserves a good father, and not just an incredibly handsome one.
Valentine literally just laughs out loud and like says, too right. My dear cousin is not someone that I would wish upon anyone. You've made me see the error of my way.
I think that no poor woman should have to endure Tolya for longer than 12 hours. That's how long his wits and handsomeness are good for. Wouldn't you agree?
I mean, I do view his handsomeness at a much higher esteem than that, but yes, his wits do leave something to be desired.
I was averaging out the durability of each.
True. Sometimes some strengths make up for other weaknesses. But let us no more talk of Shura or Tolya or Toma or any of these others whose needless, unnecessary drama has cast a pall over our evening. Let us instead talk about your new publishing contract and all of the joys and successes that will bring. And he like raises a toast to that.
To the fame and health of Konstantin Sergeyevich, for whose recent sales have funded the duck we ate tonight.
To Konstantin Sergeyevich, the founder of the feast. May his farces continue to only improve in quality and quantity and make you a very rich man.
To becoming very rich and very happy. And he pours you another one, very drunk.
And I think that the sound of like the jovial laughter, like going off into the night, is probably like a great place to wrap that, unless you have somewhere else you want to go with that.
I think that's good.
Neckties off, huh? Okay. Neckties off, knives out. So, I do have a scene, but I'd actually like to defer a little bit and see maybe what Leandro has in mind.
Ooh. I think the one first, my first thought was to get the count in, but actually I think I would.
That's actually my thought too. So
Yeah,
that was what I was gonna do.
Yeah, well, but then I thought about it. I kind of want to delay that a bit more. I want to get it still involve you, Kat, because I want to get the Count's sister in first. I think she's someone who's more likely to air out grievances, because the Count is a glacier, it takes a while for him to get things done. If that's okay with you, Kat.
That is 100% okay with me.
Yeah.
So how's this working? It seems to me that the Baroness must be out of town or something. Yes.
Yeah. Otherwise, sure, it would be quite occupied. Sorry. Do you mean? Sorry, there were two baronesses, and I got confused which one.
Oh, you're right. I meant Tamara.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's what I thought as well. Yes. So Shura is probably quite unoccupied. Probably either her or her sister-in-law made the social call. It's more likely probably Baroness Klara is the one coming over. And
yeah,
and Shura has no choice but to receive her for sure, because she's family. So I guess this is probably at the Kuznetsova house.
Yeah, I think the Baroness has called on you on your receiving day, and you have some tea, and she's just finishing up a long spiel about her daughter Svetlana, who she's educating in a Swiss boarding school, because as is proper. Because why on earth, my dear Countess, should I be responsible for the care and upkeeping of a young lady in society? I could tell her things about how to be a lady in society, but they are not considered proper by the best authorities, so I'm told. No, it's better. The convent schools are better.
Well, Baroness, if you did have the chance, what would you teach her?
I would teach her to prepare for heartbreak. It is, our society is hard on women. The call of duty versus the call of the heart is always such a difficult balancing act. Of course, it is to be expected that sometimes a match is made, and well, it's not always for love, and then there's a duty involved. But tell me, my dear, You seem to think very highly of Anatoly Filipovich.
Well, he's he is a good he's family to a good friend of mine, and I I thought out of duty to my friend to see to his cousin's time here. Uh, for the moment, he is uh, he is quite dashing, quite quite a lot, honestly.
Quite. Well, my dear girl, my I know that you and my brother have had your difficulties,
What what marriage doesn't have
and
difficulty?
it seems to me, my dearest Alexandrovna Fyodorovna, that whoever imparted upon you your education as a society woman uh, left certain aspects of it incomplete.
I think when Clara says that, like Shura was holding a teacup and her grip kind of tightens a bit, and she says, "I assure you, Baroness, I was given a thorough appraisal of what to expect from society and in society."
I find that somewhat difficult to believe because you are. I would expect a girl younger than you to botch her first affair, but uh, someone of your age, certainly you must have by now understood the techniques and the protocols and the.
Baroness, at the moment at you are my guest, and I would feel it would be impertinent of me not to allow you to say your piece with as much clarity as you would deem to give it. So if you could be straight with
My
me.
dear, I can be straight with you, or are you going to ask your man to remove me from your premises? I mean, or should I say, the premises that I had the good fortune to grow up in?
Sorry, I just saw the chat there. Uh, her grip tightens and she says, "No, as I was saying, Baroness, I would be happy to hear what is yet to say. It's just that it would be kinder to the both of us for you to be straightforward with what you're trying to say."
Oh, very. I I have. I would love nothing more. After all, you are my dear brother's wife. It was a match I did not advise, but he made it anyway. No, my dear, Anatoly Filipovich is a charming, charming young boy, and I think you should enjoy yourself immensely. Just don't get any designs. He is not the marrying type, nor do I think he is particularly the dueling type. Uh, in any case, if he was the marrying type, he wouldn't be with you. He's not a great passion, my dear. Don't get all melodramatic about it, but do show a little bit more discretion. I am sure by now my brother has heard of these things wherever he is today, out on the frontier in Poland or Tashkent or to be honest, I do let his letters pile up on
So it's
occasion.
like, at the moment, my husband is at Warsaw conducting the latest military campaign that our empire has seen fit to conduct. Yesterday, I received a letter dated 2 days ago from him, reiterating his desire for us to continue to expand our family.
Well, I think you absolutely should.
Tell me,
A
Baroness.
child would be the perfect thing for you, my dear.
Tell me, Baroness, then, if that is truly what you believe, that a child would be perfect for us, would we be perfect for that child?
Well, what does that have to do with it? Just have the child will be raised by its governesses, and then when they're old enough, you may send them away to cadet school or to a convent school, wherever you think is best.
I think, sure, we'll just take a sip. But her hand is like gripping really tightly in the teacup. Baroness Klara, rest assured that no matter what dalliance you think might be happening between myself and Anatoly Filipovich, there is nothing farther from the truth. He is a dashing distraction, but that's all he's been. In fact, I pity him if he chooses to enter the arena that both ourselves have been committed to, for he will be eaten alive by women who have gone through far more than he will ever do.
Well, I, I'm not sure I understand you, Sasha. You are, what path is it you plan to commit yourself to? Understand, I love and respect my brother, and I want him to have the career he has merited, and that requires a wife of certain dignity in his state. That does not mean that one cannot entertain. One just needs discretion. If not Anatoly Filipovich, who, to be fair, is perfect, then I don't understand what you're doing, Shura. I don't. Either you should find some way to love my brother, or you should learn how to conduct yourself in these affairs in a manner that befits a society wife. And you should probably give him a child. It's the thing. It'll look good. The Tsar will appreciate it.
God. God, she's terrible. I think Shura is like composed herself as well as she could. And she says, well, Baroness, given your opinions on my appraisal, perhaps it would be fair for me to ask what's lacking then. How does one love your brother any more than I can?
Is he so unlovable, Shura? I know he's cold. Our father died when we were very young, when we were both young, and my brother was forced into a period of responsibility that made it was very difficult on him.
To be honest, Baroness, I wonder sometimes if the fault is in your brother and me. Maybe I just, well, you know your brother better than I could. And I would like to better see him, I suppose.
My dear, I understand. My poor brother has long had to hold his emotions under wrap. I will speak to him on this matter. He does not understand, I think, truly what it is to be young, and especially what it is to be a young woman in society. But, my dear, I do beg you to show a little discretion. It's suddenly just parading around Valentine in that awful red woman. I don't understand how poor Valya can stand her. She's ridiculous.
For context, Serafina, she has not said one thing about Tom until you came along. I just thought to be honest out there, just to put it out there. I think, but actually, when she mentions that red woman, I think sure we'll immediately like go for the teacup and just like taking a sip to like try and hide her. No, well, no, I don't think Kara would pick up on her blushing like that. But I think I kind of like to kind of end that scene there. Like once Toma is mentioned, sure, just kind of like start blushing and just say that and take a sip and says like, well, at the very least, I can't be that brazen.
That sounds good to me. So I definitely plan to use my visit for Count Victor paying a call on his wife. But I sure would love to see Connie get into something. So hey, hi Tamara. Hey folks, we are finally joined by my co-creator and beloved companion in all these endeavors, Serafina, who is playing the aforementioned Red Woman, the
I don't know
Baroness.
when I became a red woman, but I'm into it.
The Baroness Tamara Konstantinova Yashvina.
Hey, everybody,
And
sorry I'm late.
she's awesome. And I did have an idea for something that might be amusing, which would be Constantine, Tamara, Shura, and maybe Valentin go to the opera. So
Right.
yeah, maybe you invite your father to the opera. Perhaps
Yeah.
you're in one of your rare. We're in a current state of detente between the two of us.
Yeah, we put down our weapons, you know.
So I think Constantine either has been like in Petersburg or Moscow a lot, or maybe he's like gone to Helsinki to oversee a production of a play or something. He's just been away for a little while. Maybe not like all the way to Paris or London, but he's been a
Right.
little bit out of the country.
Great.
Cool. So we're in our box at the opera, maybe,
That
or
sounds
no?
awesome.
It's got to be the interval.
Yeah. What did people do at the interval back in the 1900s?
It's the same thing. They visited, they got drinks, and the men would sometimes go into their own little saloon and smoke and drink. But I think Connie is staying outside. He wants to catch up with his daughter, and she has such charming friends,
Does have charming friends.
including a rich countess who seems to like his plays. So hey,
It's not bad.
not bad at all.
What kind of play are you seeing? Is it a comedy, a tragedy?
I think it's an opera, so.
So it's a tragedy.
Free. So yeah, 100%. It's Traviata.
Right. That's not Chekhov's gunny at all.
not even a little bit.
What did Chekhov get here? Great. So yeah, it's the interval. I think I've gone to get a glass of wine, and I come back, and am I surprised to see that you're not like off smoking with the men?
If you want to be, yeah. I mean, yeah, that might be one you say.
Yeah.
Tabi, I have to say, I always thought Verity missed a good opportunity to put a few more jokes into the scene at the casino.
Do you think jokes would be appropriate at that particular moment?
Yes, I think that it's important that one varies the levity up and down. I don't know. I mean, there's the gypsies come out and sing. It's a funny thing.
It's a funny thing, but I think.
It's just you had to already sit through that whole thing where the poor father confronts the fallen woman about her affair.
Yes, that does sound very fraught.
Yeah.
I feel like the pressure needs to be put on a little bit at that particular dramatic moment, but you're the playwright, not me.
I just want you to know dear Tabby, that I approve entirely.
Of what?
The prince.
Valentine?
But yes.
Well, I would hope you'd approve. We've been friends for years.
Well, yes, I mean, but you seem to become much better friends. You're always going to the theater together. You and the Countess Alexandra, and then that charming, if rather scatterbrained young boy Anatoly Filipovich. You know, he keeps writing me, asking me to write a part for him.
I think that you could do that. When you say you approve of myself and Valentine,
I just assume that perhaps you've spent so much time together that there might be some sort of an attachment. I know that as a widow there may be some difficulties, but as you know, I'm excellent friends with Princess Daria, and I'm sure that her approval would not be difficult to get.
who's saying this about me and Valentine?
My dear, it's all about town. You've been seen together constantly ever since you got back to Petersburg. I mean, I do approve of your friendship with the Countess as well. She's a remarkable, intelligent, and beautiful woman, and I cannot help but help rehabilitate you into society.
She's sipping her wine, very desperately looking as you say that. Yes, she is very much helping to rehabilitate me. Listen, I hate to disappoint you, but there's nothing going on between Valentine and I at the moment.
I understand. You need to say that in public. Wink, wink. Stage direction. I understand.
Father,
Tabby.
I pull him over to like a corner where there's very few people. If I was having an illicit affair, I would tell you. Of anyone on this earth, you are the only person who I know would not shun me. But I'm
My
not.
darling, I would hope it's not illicit. I feel so. You know that I asked you to. I arranged your marriage because of the rumors about you from school. And because of my own lack of standing in society. So I attempted to find the best match I could for you, and it was a mistake, Tabby. I was wrong. He was not the right man for you. I'm sure he was admirable in many ways, but you were too much of a free spirit for such a conservative old man. I regret it. That is why I'm hoping that you have found Valya to be a love match, and that he is eligible, and you are free to choose. And but I am wrong.
How drunk am I? Did you just apologize?
Tabby, I know that I have not been a perfect father. I have, like many men, I have thought of having a life of no responsibilities and yet maintaining all the status that only responsibility can confer. And I don't regret that I found a career and I followed my calling. But I now look back on all the things I have done, and so many of them were done for the shortest term. I became a farce writer because it was easy and because my talent lent itself to it. But I had other ambitions when I was younger. And well, as you know, your mother was not the woman I would have married had things been possible. And I feel guilty that she married me and she died having you, and it was a disaster, and I feel so poorly about that. But you know that you are the light of my life, even if I know I have not shown it, but well, Here I am. I'm becoming a foolish and fond, sentimental old man. I'll have to play Lear next.
Can I play my monologue token?
What's that?
Can I play my monologue token? If don't mind, it's fine if I'm cutting into something, but like,
Yeah, no, yeah. Who are you playing it on?
on Toma, I want to know if she believes her father.
Yeah. So that actually plays into what I was about to do next. So that works out really well. I will gladly monologue at this moment. While Toma is sat staring at her father, she is having these memories of when he told her that she was going to get married, and then like having stronger, brighter memories of like being a child and watching him write and listening to him talk, and like this deep romantic soul that she's known her whole life. And she's looking at him and saying and thinking to herself, like, as much as he is a philanderer and what people would call like a cad and a, you know, an outsider and this rapscallion, who am I to say that I am not my father's daughter? And he has never, in all of the time I've been alive, told a lie to me, or maybe even to society, which might be why he is where he is on the outskirts and unable to claw his way to the inner ring. I'm lucky that my mother taught me deception, but I also am lucky that my father is as honest about himself as he is. And I think he's rambling on about, you know, his feelings about my marriage and our relationship and whatever. And we're standing in this quiet corner and people are starting to go back into the opera. And she puts down her wine glass, steps forward, and grabs both of his hands while he's talking and says, I know that you were always trying to do right by me, but just like you can't be anything other than who you are, I can't be anything other than what I am. And so I cannot promise you that I will make a love match with a man as you so desire, but I can promise you that I will do my best to keep us from further disgrace.
Oh, Tabby, I don't care about you making a love match. I just hope that you will find love.
I think she leans forward and kisses him on the cheek and says, "Let's go back in."
Cool. I'm gonna do two things. The
Mhm.
first thing is I am going. Wait, do we didn't spend this. I crossed it out by accident, so I'm spending it now. I'm just gonna spend the rumor token about Valya and everybody, because during the opera box, I think if this was the movie, Connie would be sitting in the back, maybe smoking a cigar, or not smoking because he wouldn't smoke in the plane. He's just sitting in the back watching, and he sees Valya sitting next to Tamara, and Shura sitting next to Toma, and he just looks and he looks, and you would see the camera would like close in on his face as he goes. I think the last expression would be kind of one of sadness, and we'll see. So that's good. That's good.
I'm wondering, are we doing the distracted guy meme or the the 19th century Russian equivalent of that? The distracted guy.
Maybe. So I'd like to wrap up this novel chapter with the long-awaited visit. I think that the Count Victor Filipovich Kuznetsov comes home on a surprise. And when Shura returns from her shopping, she discovers that the house is full of flowers. Oh, it's gonna get worse, kid.
Oh God. Okay. All right. Well, that's okay. What I'm doing is not what Shura's doing. Well, maybe not outwardly. Uh, but yeah, she sees the flowers. Some of them are they're probably familiar. Probably something they had on their wedding, something like that. And
Yep.
yeah, what else does she find?
Oh, after a moment, the Count steps out in his dress uniform. It says, "My dear, I would have written, but lately you've been reluctant to reply to me quickly. So I thought it best. I came back to Petersburg. I am to receive the Order of Alexander Nevsky. It's an enormous honor from the Tsar. But dear Alexandra, I know our courtship was very formal. I know that I am older and that I have perhaps not pursued you with the love that you deserve, but Shura, in my heart, I have love for you, and I wish it to be. I want to show it to you. I, I have been trying to learn how to be a better husband, and perhaps it's too late. Perhaps I'm too ugly and old and cold, but I was hoping that I could come and try and begin again to show you how much you do truly mean to me. You're more than just a helpmeet. You, you, you are my wife, and I love you."
How dare you? This is me to cat. What happened to not breaking Leandro? What we talked about before broadcast? What happened to that? Oh God. I'm staring at that inner conflict. It's just oh my God. Sorry, I need a moment to process this because this is a lot.
Yeah, no, I'm sure Shura is standing there in the same way.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yes. I guess I could cover it by describing what she looks. Yeah, she looks incredibly shocked. I think this is the last thing she expected. She very much was committed to the idea that Count Victor is a glacier. But turns out that just means that he moves slowly, not that he was completely cold. So
frozen waters run deep.
yeah. Yeah. She was kind of like hands covering her mouth sort of thing. It's like she doesn't trust herself to say anything. And I think just kind of involuntarily, like just because all these emotions are flooding into her, I think she even involuntarily just like kind of starts tearing up, I guess. Yeah.
Shura, I want you to know that I've heard some of the rumors, and I forgive you. I don't believe you've done anything, but I understand that it must have been very pleasant to have a man interested in you, and I know that you've been faithful to me. But I promise you, once I've received the decoration from the Tsar, I'm going to retire from the military and take up some honorable civil position here in Petersburg. Because, Shura, I want us to be together more. I want us to be a family, truly. I want you to.
Oh, I'm unmuted. That's why you can hear me.
Yeah, I think that's basically my spiel. I do
Yeah.
have a resolve token here if you end up pregnant because of this. So.
If if I hadn't already monologued this cycle, I could give you exactly what she thinks, what Shura's thinking, but I can't. I'm not going to do that.
Save it for the epistolary.
Yeah, I'll save it for epistolary. I think. Oh God. Yeah, I don't know what Shura would say because I'm as blindsided as she is, but I'll take that token.
Alex to the yeah. I feel like Count Victor has accomplished his purposes in this world now. So cool. I think that's all I wanted out of that scene. And now you and Toma can raise your lesbian love baby together. So I think have we all called a scene? Daryl, did you call a scene? Do you want to?
I think that yeah, I think that if I could just have a short one with Toma, yeah.
Mama like.
And I think it's like I'm totally open to suggestions about it, but perhaps we are. I don't know what time of year it is, but I just imagine us like figure skating at a park or something like that, like ice skating.
Yeah, I love that.
And I think it's like we're like on the ice and we're like sliding around, and I like possibly like linked arm in arm or at least holding hands or something, very like platonically. But and I think
it's cool.
and I think I turn to you and I say, Grisha told me something interesting the other night. Apparently, all the tongues around the city are wagging that you and I are halfway down the aisle.
My father said something about it at the opera the other night, too. Apparently, he's very happy for me.
As was Grisha, until I disabused him of any such fantasies.
Who are you going to marry, Valentine?
If I was going to marry anyone, Toma, it should be you. But I think I have fear, actually, that it might be your aunt, Ara Sergeyevna.
Oh my goodness, you poor thing.
If there was one woman in this city that I have had the distinct displeasure of sitting through tea with, at least she is sincere.
It might not be a bad idea for us to get halfway down the aisle.
Do tell.
Well, I have certain interests. You have certain interests.
I'm sure I don't know what you mean.
Oh my goodness, I have seen the way that you have stared at certain young men in our company.
Like, he just looks absolutely scandalized, but like it's just cowed, just like caught.
And my feelings about certain members of our company are similar. I think both of us value freedom and independence and having a rather more sparkling social life than some would necessarily think proper.
The more you talk about it, the more it sounds like rather an ideal engagement.
I mean, it is inappropriate for me as the woman in this situation to be the one who proposes such a thing.
Oh, of course, of course. And I think that if we were to go about it, we should do it in a much more grandiose manner.
Valya, could we have a script and an entire plan? Valya, could we make the biggest social splash of the season?
We shall script a scene that even your father will be jealous of.
oh, and I think she like throws herself in some sort of like dramatic pose from like a painting or something while they're skating, and is like, oh, my love, you have turned me toward you, and I am swept away.
And then he like probably like does like an elaborate like spin on the ice with you in his arms and like says something equally pithy of like, then let me continue to steer us forward.
Oh my god.
Like, I'm sure that there's like a light orchestral piece playing in the background, like the scheming music playing too.
I love that.
And then I think that there's this moment where like he leans in and he says, although there is one thing that I'm on the cusp of understanding. Of our repertoire, you've never once shown a single ounce of interest in my cousin. And you seem not at all shocked by my own interests. So does that mean that it is not my dear Anatoly Filipovich who is potentially swaying Shura from her marital bliss?
Perhaps.
Well, such mysteries are best left undiscovered then.
Either that or we can have lovely pillow talk about it on our wedding night.
I think that with at least 3 bottles of champagne sounds like rather a pleasant evening.
I agree.
And I think that's like perfect right there.
I love it. Oh my god. That's exactly what I was hoping for. Yes, we'll be each other's beards.
You monsters.
We are going to
Poor,
enjoy.
poor
Each
Anna
other.
Sergeyevna is sitting at home in the parlor just looking at a picture of Valya and crying.
She could never compete with me, listen.
It's true. Also, this is just cosmically aligned. Like,
It is, really.
2 people in another lifetime are getting the second chance.
Oh, so good.
Andre Vasa 2. This time we know what we're doing.
So good.
Curse you
I'm
all.
living for it. I'm living.
I'm like, I love us so much, Daryl.
Curse you all. Curse you all.
You're
Shame
my
on,
favorite.
shame on you both. Shame on
No.
guys, it's reputation. I want to see some negative tags out there, my friends.
Oh, yeah, well, son of a bitch. I think I did all 3 of the negative things.
Luckily, you can only get 1 tag, so.
Thank God.
Let's see now.
I took that resolve token, so that should get me a positive tag for going along with your evil schemes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait,
Thank you. That's
I think
true.
I'm
I
gonna-
am a monster, too.
I think I'm gonna take revenge, and I'm gonna say that it's Ludmila who has those feelings.
Yeah, Vladdy's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm getting married to a man and I'm sleeping with another woman. She's just not gonna be happy.
Well, she's not happy. It's her that you're sleeping.
Yeah.
Well, in order to complicate things, I took the negative tag decadent, and that actually pushes me into, I think, not marriage material as my negative tag.
Interesting.
I just stayed single for just too long.
Yeah.
I somehow have managed to not change my reputation. Because I don't think there were any hardship in him saying this thing. I don't know. There's a slim chance I came out of this positive, but I don't know. I don't really think I did anything that was.
I took
Yeah,
the tag, positive tag, dutiful. That gets me a positive reputation, which is faultless. So characters will disbelieve any negative rumor about me unless presented with compelling evidence.
Well, that's handy considering that we're sleeping together.
Yeah.
that is excellently played. Okay.
I took the negative reputation tag perpetual bachelor. Look, we're going to code it as heavily as the 19th century would code it. And then I took, for my sister's health and welfare, the option bad example. A family member follows your poor example and throws care for their reputation to the wind. Since I only have one other family member, sorry, Shura. I don't think our mother's going to throw care for her reputation to the wind.
I don't know. Maybe Lilia's gonna loosen up.
One never knows.
Okay, well, in 19th century Russia, we write letters. I have a feeling these are going to be some doozies. It's early. Anyway, so cool. I'll just launch the first salvo. From Konstantin Sergeyevich Katavasov to Tamara Konstantinova. Dear Tamara,
Oh no.
do not think I do not know what you are doing, or that I have not seen it before. And what you are doing is an ugly thing. I find it somewhat hard to believe that after these 5 years where you have constantly blamed me for arranging your loveless match, a match that I have repented of, perhaps not enough and perhaps not in the way that was appropriate, but I have repented of it. And now you will engage in this deception. This is an ugly thing you are doing, Tabby. Likewise, while your schoolgirl dalliances were your own affair, you're old enough now to know that what you are doing cannot be forgiven by society. Do not think that I do not know something of this matter. I have been in the theater for 25 years. It does not ever end well, Tabby. Not these society Boston marriages, because he's writing to you in English. This never lasts well. You will come to grief over both of these decisions, and I ask you to repent of them. And had I any right any longer to do so, I would refuse this match for you as your father. But as I have sworn I would do no such thing ever again, I consent to it. But you have exactly the blessing you think you merit for it. Constantine.
I have to lay on the floor now. I have to go.
Next.
Oh no.
Players may write up to 2 letters. They can come from connections. I don't know what to tell you guys.
There's only one letter that epistolary face because Cat killed us all.
Grisha, save us, Grisha.
Help us, Grisha. Somebody. Spacemen? Anybody?
Yes, I'll Grisha will write. I won't torture Fina with a Ludmilla letter. For a while. There's one in here when you're not having a moment. using full titles from Baron Grigory Antonovich Zivaniev to His Serenity Prince Valentin Stepanovich Volokov. My dearest Valya, this is a side note, so everyone knows. There is a crowning involved in Russian, in all Eastern Orthodox weddings, but the Russians are known for ostentatious crowns. So this is a cultural side note. But there's Valya. It is a good thing I returned to St. Petersburg to assist in this matter. You would not believe the tackiness and the absurd extravagance of the crowns that have been shown to me as your principal attendant in absence of your brother. And since Tolya decided to take yet another grand tour, I then describe at least 10 completely comically inappropriate crown designs, and at least 3 that would only be appropriate for a Grand Duke of the Imperial family. However, by my cleverness, my attention to detail, and my numerous cultural connections, I have found these, and here I include some sketches that I believe will bring out the color of your eyes without making everyone jealous of Toma. Petersburg continues to be lavish and tasteful, and everyone is looking forward to the marriage. I begin now my hunt for the appropriate quantity of peacocks, as your mother suggested. I await with great anticipation your arrival in Petersburg and hope the travel from Moscow is not too troublesome. Shura's return has, and Shura, let me know if you want a resolve token for this, if you want to say no. Has been quiet. The Count has returned from his posting, and I think it is perhaps explains why she is so melancholy of late. I've even seen her prone to tears at a few points. I do hope you and Toma will make haste. With all affection, Grisha.
Okay. It's gonna be fine. I have a letter. This is fine. To Countess Alexandra Fyodorovna Kuznetsova from Tamara. My dearest Sasha, I do hope that you continue to plan to be in attendance at the wedding. It has been so long since I've seen you, and I long for the pleasure of your company, as well as, well, you know what I mean. As much as this wedding has, on the surface, the ring of an arrangement, I find myself actually looking forward to the moment when we pronounce our vows to each other. Valya is a good man and a good friend, and I look forward to us building the sort of partnership that I would like to have with a man, one of equals. And perhaps one where we take the entirety of Russian society by storm and by force. It'll be fine. It'll be fine is not in the letter. When you come, I do hope that you could stay for a few days with us at the house that we have rented for the ceremony, for the party afterward. I do not believe that this event would be the same without your warmth and your smile and your joy. Yours eternally, Toma.
I have a letter from Prince Valentin to Konstantin Sergeyevich. My dear Konstantin Sergeyevich, I hope this letter finds you well, and I hope that it finds you in good humors for something of an apology. I wish it were not so that on the eve of my stag night, you had not discovered me in a most uncomfortable position with some person who shall remain nameless. I assure you, it was a moment's indiscretion fueled by far too much liquor and far too much anxiety about the venture that your daughter and I are to set out upon. I assure you that my intentions with dear Tamara are entirely pure, and I intend to make good on every promise that we make on before the altar and before God. I ask only that you extend to me all of the charity and confidentiality that you may deem to bless for the happiness of your daughter. I think it goes without saying that what bodes ill for myself would also bode ill for her going forward. I understand that this possibly comes as something of a shock to you, though I hope with your theatrical background, not too shocking. Once again, I beg your forgiveness and your silence. Yours eternally, Prince Valentin Stepanovich Volkov.
So, I think what we should do for this is I'm going to take a resolve token because I'm not going to say anything. But I think you should burn one of your negative tags, and then when we do reputation phase, your not marriageable material will go off. Because you know what? It did.
Yep. I'm gonna burn Decadent because that's exactly what that was.
Hails to the yes.
I have a letter from Anna Sergeyevna to her dear brother, Connie. And I think the handwriting is probably a bit messier than usually. She has impeccable handwriting. Her handwriting's a bit messier than it usually is. And it just says, "Dear Connie, I'm afraid I owe you an apology. All these years I've been coming to you for clearly the wrong lessons. I believed that you would help me find my proper niche in society, but now what I would like is to learn from you how it is you manage to drift through society, to float through it, to be as buoyant as you wish people to see you. I fear I may need it for some time. Yours always, your sister Anna."
Vienna, June 1874. My dear Olga Pavlovna, I hope you'll forgive the long lack of my communication. After the wedding of my daughter to her husband, I found that I no longer could maintain that joie de vivre that I have become notorious for. And rather than continually to put a poor face on things and thus malign my much maligned daughter, I chose to leave. I am teaching acting to students attached to the Hoftheater here in Vienna. It is interesting, and especially as my German has never been strong and their Russian is non-existent, but I make some progress. I have taken Anna Sergeyevna with me. I look at her and I see more of my failings. The mantle of spinsterhood has begun to wrap around her like a shroud, and I know nothing to do that can make it any better. I hope that traveling with me and giving her some taste of this sort of bohemian life will compensate for it. I urge her sometimes to simply just take a lover. She is old enough and we are far from home, but perhaps she has taken the advice and not told me. I would not blame her for not trusting me with any confidence right now. Your last letter, you asked about the work, and the work is not progressing particularly strongly right now. I have some comedy that will probably premiere in Moscow or Minsk or maybe somewhere in Germany, God help me. And I'm sure it will sell tickets and provide an evening's entertainment. It's not what I should be writing, Olga. It's not what I should be doing. But what I would do seems so painful to even contemplate that my pen seems frozen. I don't know what I did to create so many disasters in my life, or rather, I do know, and lack the strength to face them. I don't think any of the people I love will end up very happily. Except you, of course, my dear. You remain my one crowning achievement. In that I have not failed you as much as I failed everyone else. I'll try and toss off these melancholy thoughts. Spring is here in Vienna, and while Vienna is not particularly a Lovely city by my standards. The countryside is relaxing. I hope to either see you here or in season in Berlin. In any case, I will eventually return to Russia. I no longer feel the need to escape. I think when I was young, I called it my tomb. Well, perhaps it's time I make my own shroud. Yours, Connie.
All right, enough of that.
What have we done? What have we done?
We broke Connie. We killed him. You can decide whether or not you ever open this letter. But this letter is from. It just says Toma on the envelope, and it comes before the wedding. So it's before you've gone to Vienna and all of that. Father, I would begin by saying that I never hoped that I would disappoint you as much as you had disappointed me. And I would continue to say that I do not understand what could be so bad about living a life honestly with a person who understands and knows me to be who I am. I think it is so much worse to watch people fumble about in the streets of whatever town they happen to be in, be it Moscow or Petersburg. Small country homes, large estates, hating themselves and hating their spouses and hating their children and hating their lives because they did not have the courage to seek out people that knew and understood them and to live their lives well. I do not mean to suffer in the ways that everyone else around me is suffering. I do not mean to live a life of quiet desperation and to find myself under the heel of sorrow forever. I know this is very un-Russian of me, but I refuse. I do hope that one day you can understand how I am being true to who you are in my life as I see it and as I live it. That I am truly the daughter that you asked for, whether or not I am the daughter that you want. I remain yours, disappointment or no, Toma.
I do feel it behooves me to remind people that War and Peace ends on a happy ending, but Anna Karenina doesn't. Okay, cool. Somebody else write something sad.
I'm going to switch it up a little bit. All right. So, to my dearest daughter, Countess Alexandra Fyodorovna Kuznetsova, I cannot begin to tell you how happy your impending motherhood has made me. Truly, this is the pinnacle of everything that I had hoped for you. And I do hope that even though you are soon to bear this beautiful child into the world, that you will not take any opportunity to excuse yourself from the upcoming nuptials of the Baroness and the Prince. I think that it is incredibly important that you are there to share in their happiness and to share your happiness with them. There are a number of reasons why your attendance at this wedding is almost completely unbearably necessary. As you know, there have been a number of rumors surrounding you, surrounding your husband, and surrounding the state of your marriage. I, of course, believed that none of these rumors held any weight whatsoever, but this is the perfect opportunity to illustrate to our community at large that they held no weight for anyone to respect. As such, I have arranged for a tailored gown to be delivered on the day of, and I will be at your apartments in the morning to make sure that we are all in attendance to celebrate the nuptials of Valentin and Tamara. It is with great excitement that I cannot wait to become a grandmother. Your dear mother, Countess Lilia Vitalievna Efimova.
Yeah, mom's got a mom. Shura has a letter for Grisha. Let's see. Dear Grisha, sorry, I had an opening, but it went away in my head. Dear Grisha, I know that your publishing business and my own duties have kept ourselves busy, but I must confess that we have not seen each other as much as we wanted it. I fear that I I fear that more opportunities would be lost soon, given where I am at the moment. You asked me once if I was happy, and I told you that I am. But given what I've heard of your current circumstances, I must extend that question to yourself now. Are you happy? Are you well? I wish I was not asking this through a letter, and I would not ask an answer from you through a letter. I only ask now to for so that you can make up your mind if you could tell me the truth. I hope to see you soon. Yours, Shura.
I'll do my final letter from Grisha to Shura. My dear sister, I have sent my assistant home, and I'm writing this to you, sealed twice, so that you may be sure we can talk openly. I am known as a person who is frequently jovial, but almost never really happy. And yet, for 8 months, I have not stared at a dinner plate alone in my apartment in anxiety or fear that this was all that would happen. I have not dreaded meeting with our mother. I have never in my life been more happy. I had begun to wonder if everyone rated happiness so highly for all the, and it was merely its social reputation that was keeping it afloat. But I had not realized, indeed, the lightness about everything that occurs when one is happy. The things that seem dull and frightful have lost some of their power over me. My dear sister, pursue happiness. There is no one I know of who deserves it more than you. There is no one I know of who needs happiness more than you. More than you need respectability, more than you need our mother's good opinion. Know that in doing so, I will love you regardless. Your brother, Grisha.
Well, I'm glad to see that we have the Russian novel part of this well taken care of. Cool. That was epistolary. We're in upkeep. I already took care of working on my inner conflict. Apparently, when you when you force a break between the person that you're trying, your inner conflict is about, you check off a bunch of boxes. But since I already have 3 resolve tokens, I get nothing out of that except grief and German food. So cool. All right, and
When you check a box, Kat, do you get a resolve token?
yeah, up to 2.
Up to
But
2.
if you've got more than 2 resolve tokens already, you get nothing except you advance your character line. When you finish your internal conflict, there's some stuff we can do. Like you could change your desire. I don't have the book in front of me. Well, I do. I have the PDF. I just don't have it open. We also have some unspent monologue tokens. I'm not exactly sure how this happened, but I think it's correct.
Yeah, I didn't spend mine.
I did not spend mine. And Grisha did not spend his.
So who has monologued?
Valya and Shura, it looks. Oh no, Toma and Shura have.
Yeah.
But Connie, Grisha, and Valya have not.
I would like to spend a monologue token. I want to know what Connie thinks of, or how he reacts when he hears about the engagement. Like, I know his feelings now, but I want to know. I know his feelings as he's saying them, but I want to know what he really feels and thinks.
Interesting. You think they're different than what he wrote in the letter?
I mean, I think they could be different than what he wrote in the letter, and I also think that like his initial feelings might be different, angrier, louder. I'm just sort of curious. I want to like dig into it a little bit.
I'm going to remind you that you asked for this.
I did, yeah. Yep. Great. It's cool. I don't need my feelings.
Just one question. How did Toma tell him? Did she write him or did she tell him in person?
I think she wrote him. I think he wasn't in town when it happened. I don't think it was because of like a rift between the two of them. I think it was that she wanted him to know quickly.
Yeah, interesting. Also, without making me meet the suitor, which would normally be the correct way to do things, but
right.
We all know that wasn't going to happen. So
well, and I also feel like it's her second wedding. Some things do go out the window a little bit.
I think you telegrammed him.
Yeah, a telegram makes sense because she wanted him to know right away. And I think that like her telegram, like her genuine feeling was that he would be excited and happy for her.
Okay, so he's standing on the platform in Berlin on his way on his way maybe back to Russia, and like this kid comes up and hands him this telegram, and he opens up, and it's just, "Father and marrying Prince Valentin, stop. Wedding in May, stop. Love, Toma." And as he stands there holding his hat and this crumpling up and kind of absentmindedly crumpling up the flimsy, he just thinks, "Oh, Toma, not you. Not you. You were the one who knew what pure love was supposed to be. Not you." And he like opens it again, looks at it, and just grunts and crumples it back up again. "You and Valya. You were never good for each other. You think this is going to help. You think that your mutual interests, in as much as they're not mutual at all, are going to help you. You don't know the amount of pain you are in for. I've had a loveless marriage. It became a tragedy. And the Countess will never, ever give you what you need." I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. That's all I need.
Oh my god. Oh, everything's fine. Doing great. Thanks, I guess. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. I get to spend one, huh? And oh, look at this. Tamara hasn't gone. Tamara has monologued, but Valya hasn't. So, Valya, your dear father-in-law would like to know what you're thinking as you stand in your ridiculous wedding costumes with your ridiculous crowns being carried around you, and you're staring at Tamara. What are your thoughts? I'll take my question off the air.
So yeah, it's the height of the ceremony. Everything's happening, parading around us. Standing there in like livery that is just abundant and like decadent. And I look over at Toma and I smile and I say, in my own head, I say, "What have I done? What curse have I placed upon my head? What terrible misfortune have I wrought for myself? I stand here now in front of all of these people, dressed up in donkey skin, in costumes to make everyone see what they need to see. I am deceiving everyone again, still. Why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep putting myself in situations where I have to lie over and over again to everyone around me? This is not where I belong. This is not what I'm meant to be doing. These are not the clothes that I want to be wearing. I felt such joy, such happiness in so many situations that are not fit for this church. I felt adorned in beauty and life, in dark alleys and in broom closets, stolen seconds of a fairy tale. And here I am now, dragging myself through the mire. this is the life that I have signed myself up for. A life of spiritual poverty. They were right. Everyone was right to say that I should have just continued on as I had. And I'm never going to feel that life, that beauty again. I will never feel that I am truly free. Because now I am tethered, and now I am wearing this costume, and now I am nothing more than an ass of my own making.
So I think we somehow managed to screw up the math again, because it looks like Richard is the only one who hasn't monologued and yet has a monologue token. I don't remember who actually. I think you did. I can't remember. Did you spend it on Shura last session?
It was Tamara who spent it, I think. Oh wait, no.
Oh, okay.
I think it was Valya who spent it.
So I don't know.
We kind of all hit each other.
Okay. So I don't know what happened.
I think it still happens.
So I think
Richard, you're muted.
Richard, you.
Like I spent mine on Shura the first round, but not
Yeah.
the second. I'm glad to monologue, but I have to have a prompt.
So let's all put our heads together on this one. Anybody got any suggestions that they want to hear from Grisha? Actually, you know what? Are you Valya's best man?
I assume so.
Then
Yes.
why don't we
Because
just,
I essentially set myself up because I am the person carrying his crown, and essentially making the arrangements in Petersburg while they return from Moscow.
then I think the only obvious thing to do is to ask you to monologue what you're thinking when Grisha is getting married.
I think during the wedding, especially as they do like we carry their crowns behind them and walk around and then put the crowns on their head and they walk around. I am making pious seeming eye contact with the iconostasis behind them. The big icon screen. And I think I am looking at the icon of Saint Michael the Archangel, standing there with his sword. And I think in my head, I am saying, do what you will. The bonds between people are not something you can sever. Bring your host, bring your trials, and bring all your bullshit about sacredness and duty. But loyalty and love are bigger than you. Standing there with all your implied threats and that stupid Greek-looking toga. Do what you will.
Bravo, senor. Okay. So we got a novel chapter coming. Ooh-hoo-hoo. I know we kicked around the idea of the wedding, though we've been jumping around so much, the wedding seems to have happened. But I do think an event isn't a bad idea. There's lots of stuff that could be done.
Do you think maybe a feast on your return from your honeymoon?
Oh.
Or potentially a christening for Shura's baby.
Baby stuff.
Let me try and work this out. So this would be somewhere around the fall of 1874. Countess, you're our hostess. How shall we call this tune?
As oh god. As happy as everyone's trying to pretend to be. That's what the tune is. So I'll confess, the last time I've been to a christening is probably a decade. Honestly, I don't keep up with many people. So I'm not particularly sure what it looks like. I'd ask everyone to contribute a detail, just so because yeah. All I have is the mood, really, which is again as happy as people are pretending to be. And this is back at the house. This is not like at the christening itself, right? Ooh,
Yeah,
but I
some
do
sort of
wanna,
reception.
yeah, but I do kind of want to I want like a quick snapshot of everyone at the christening, kind of.
Well,
Like,
may I remind you that some of us took reputation conditions, and once again, we forgot to do the scenes. So
yeah,
I would suggest that the 3 people who have reputation conditions currently can do a little scene to set it.
yeah.
Great.
Oh yeah. Well, Valya got and lost his in in one cycle. So
Yeah, well, technically, it shouldn't come off until we do reputation again. So I
okay,
can't remember if we did do reputation again. So yeah, it came off at that point.
yeah, okay. Um, yeah, I kind of want the scene for Dutiful to be like after the letter that Tamar sent to Shura, and it's Shura telling Toma about the pregnancy, but I don't think we get the
Mm,
entire scene. Um, what does that look like? Kind of like the cinematically, it's from afar, like
mm.
kind of like see their profiles. What would Toma's reaction?
This is me receiving the letter.
No, this is me telling. This is
Or
Shura
telling you in person.
in person. Yeah.
Um, so where are we? There's a room in your house that's like, I don't know, you spend a lot of your time there and it's like warm and there's all this light and stuff.
Yeah.
You want to do a full scene or do you just want like a quick flash?
I think it's just a quick flash.
Okay, great. So what we see is you sort of tearfully telling me, and you're sitting in a chair and I'm standing and facing you. And then the next thing that we see is me sort of like collapsing on my knees in front of you and wrapping my arms around your waist and burying my face in your lap.
Yeah. I think during that time, like Shura was tearing up, but she's trying to like compose herself in a most military fashion.
Mhm.
And I think when Toma kind of collapses and her face, like all Shura could do is just kind of like stroke your hair a bit, but that's it.
Mhm.
It's not. It's the lightest touch.
I'm fine. So have we seen each other since the wedding?
Um, I don't know how long did that honeymoon take.
We're rich.
Probably longer than it should have been.
Like, I would say that we probably like stayed way too far away, but then we say that we cut it short so that we could be here for the christening.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yep.
So yeah, we probably haven't seen each other. This might be the first. I don't know if Toma was expecting an invitation, but sure, I did send one.
Right.
They can't really meet up like they used to. Somewhat.
So I think for my reputation tag, again, we just see like a little vignette of me on my wedding day, fully like decked out in whatever ridiculous gown I'm wearing. Except I'm not standing where you would expect a proper Russian bride to be standing. I am like out behind some building, be it the church or my home, and I am having a fight with Mila. Like, yeah, if it's like a film and you're seeing it from far away, it's this really heated argument. And at one point I like grab her by the shoulders and sort of like seem like I'm shaking, trying to like shake some sense into her. And as like a juxtaposition to the last scene, she goes on her knees in front of me and wraps her arms around me and like won't let go. Yeah, it's bad.
Bad, but everything we expected from Mila.
I thought you'd like that, Richard. You hate me now, so this is great.
I really tried to work mine into my bad influence into my letter to my sister last time.
That's totally okay.
Encouraging her to drop everything to just pursue happiness.
Okay. So I have a question, Shura. What's your kid? Do you have a boy or a girl?
I'd say girl.
Let me just control C of those names. Oh, sorry. Pressing Control C was Control R. What would be her name?
Maria? Oksana?
Maria.
Kuznetsova.
Maria Viktorovna Kuznetsova. Yes, excellent. Cool. So I guess we're maybe like in the middle of the party kind of thing. Like people are coming around and congratulating Shura and Count Victor. And finally, in walks Connie, takes off his top hat and his gloves, hands them to a valet, and he's accompanied by Anna Sergeyevna and Olga Pavlovna, because that's how he rolls. I'm just trying to think. Do we want to just do this now, Toma? Yeah. So yeah, he comes in and he sees you first. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. So he just bows at you and says, "Well, Princess Volkova, how charming to run into you. Of course, I would not miss. I would not have missed this. How is your wedding? May I expect a blessed event of your own?"
She straightens her spine when she hears your voice, and she looks at him and says, "Constantine, the wedding was lovely, and
Yeah.
alas, no blessed event anytime soon."
How unusual. But you had such a long honeymoon. I understand you went to Greece.
We did. It was lovely, very romantic.
He looks around and kind of gestures for you to come with him.
She follows him, but looks very nervous.
Tabby,
Yes.
has this made you any happier?
So far, married life suits me just fine.
Second time's the charm?
At least he is not a drunk.
We know exactly what he is. But you don't mind. So don't get me wrong, dear Tabby. As I wrote you, I've been in the theater for a long time. I know about this sort of thing. I've seen this sort of thing. One of my best friends had one of these sorts of things.
And it always ends in ruin, I suppose.
That does not end in his contentment and happiness.
Well, there is no one for me to love, whom I can love as fully and truly as I'd like.
So it's love, you say.
No, I say it is companionship.
No, that's not who I was talking about. And he sort of just nods over his shoulder.
I have not seen her since the wedding.
I'm sorry, that must be hard on you both. But you do know. Do you expect the Countess Alexandra to run off with you to Italy or New York and abandon her society, abandon her child? They will never grant a divorce. The church will never grant a divorce for this. What would for what? Gross indecency? This they would call it.
I do not expect anyone to run away with me anywhere. I simply know that I cannot have the things I want, and so I should have things I at least like.
I've failed you, haven't I?
In what way?
I married your mother because of you. I would shield you from such an ugly fact, except for the fact that all ugly facts are now currently taking center stage. I married your mother because she became pregnant. She is not the one I loved. I would have married someone else had I been free to do so. That is, of course, my own fault. As you prefer to call me, I am a philanderer. And of course, the delivery caused the illness that eventually killed her. And I held you in my hands that morning. And I knew that I had to try now. It was my responsibility to you. All I wanted was you to be happy, and I have failed to make you happy. And now you ask for something that I can't give you.
What's that?
I would remake the world for you if I could, Tabby, but I can't. I'm telling you, this is not going to end well. And all I want is to pass this cup of bitterness from your lips to mine. I can't do that.
She reaches out and takes his hand and says, "Nothing that you did made me into the person that I am. And this bitter cup would exist with or without your willingness to drink from it. I would rather we be friends."
One day, perhaps, I'll make you understand what I feel. I'll write a comic farce about it.
Don't you mean a tragedy?
I still hold out hope.
That's all there is.
I feel I've hogged the stage enough. Let's get some of the other characters
Yeah,
out there.
sounds good, Bill.
Get the other side of this couple. Get Valya and
Well, and I
and
would love to actually greet the
Grisha around,
siblings. Or I'd like to. I haven't talked to Shura at all, like this episode. So
yeah,
mhm.
yeah, we can do that. Let's see, where would there be? There's probably like a moment where she's like outside, just out in the cold, I suppose. Or probably like some sort of balcony sort of arrangement. Just to like get some space from having to like greet everyone. And she's probably just like she's still probably just tired.
I think Valya walks out and says, like, doesn't really even announce himself, just says, when your letters caught up to me, they brought so much joy to my trip.
I think at that, like, sure, I would kind of like turn around and like, what does she see? Does she because Valya will see someone who looks quite tired, but will light up when she sees who it is. But what does Shura see?
I think that like Valya is like very sunned and very like sun-kissed and looks very like relaxed, but there's like a bit of tiredness that you didn't see before, like a little bit of strain in the eyes that like wouldn't quite line up with someone who just got back from a whirlwind honeymoon.
I think Shura won't notice that for a moment, and she'll just like smile and says, "Well, I hope what joy managed to bring you wasn't the cause for your tan right there." And I think she'll move to like give you a hug.
And I think that he definitely goes in and like it's a very heartfelt thing. It's like you can tell like he just kind of like softens into it, and it's like a big relief for him to see you again.
Hmm. Yeah, once like the hug breaks, and I think Shura will like ask like, "Well, your letters were a bit scant in the details. How was Greece? How was your time away? It certainly feels like quite a time."
It was quite the time. I think that is the appropriate definition for it. We sunned ourselves all day and danced the nights away.
Well, if anyone could keep up with the well, I guess now the princess, it would be someone as yourself. Yeah.
Oh, no, trust me. Toma was the one dragging me here, there, and everywhere. It was only by the kindness of a couple of very hospitable Greeks that I got any sleep at all.
Wow. I don't know. Sure, we'll get that. I think, yeah, no, sure, would not get that. I think she'll just kind of like just nod as if like almost telling herself, yeah, no, I don't get what he's saying. And say like, well, that is partially what I meant. You always are quite kind and pious. I would not. So, someone who could balance well against Toma.
Indeed, we do complement each other very well.
Sorry, I need a second to recover. The whole Greeks, god damn it! This is so much. I think sure will kind of like lead you to like look out to the stars and says, well, I'm sure St. Petersburg would be glad to be a bit more colorful with the return of you two. It's been, well, I can't say I've not been busy, but
I see the fruits of your very busy labors. Congratulations. Little Maria is absolutely gorgeous.
she has her father's eyes.
Yes, but all of your good looks, which is a blessing.
I think Shura will laugh at that and says like, I'm sure. Well, Victor's quite aware of that and quite blessed. I'm quite relieved as well. You'll be probably delighted to hear.
But what of you? Has Maria brought blessings and relief to the house of Kuznetsov?
She's, and I think this Shura kind of like rubbing her arms a bit around herself. She's every. There are moments when whenever I'm around her, she's nothing but joy. She's whenever I'm around her, it feels like the world. I can't fathom the world revolving anywhere else but her. And I think Shura kind of like looks down a bit, and she can tell you this because you're a friend. But when I'm not around her, I can only imagine that feeling, and I don't know why. Valya, you're a dear friend, but there is a part of me that wishes I were not here, but with her instead. Hoping that feeling doesn't go away when I have to be away from her.
Well, I cannot say what a woman would feel in such a situation, but if my mother is any indication, I feel that Maria will wish to be rid of you long before you wish to be rid of her.
I hope to buck a trend or two. I'm sure. However, if she doesn't say when, she'll say if. If you and Toma ever come to where I am now, I'm sure you would do things differently than what your mother, and quite frankly, my mother, has done as well.
Isn't that the eternal quest? That children will live to right the wrongs that their parents wrote upon them?
I guess the problem is the parents are loath to admit that they ever wronged their children. Or maybe our parents were.
My mother is loath to admit she's ever done a single thing wrong in her life.
So I've heard, she says, knowing you've told her everything. You told her everything about your mother.
But enough about my mother or your mother. The only mother here who matters today is you. And I think that I speak for my dear wife and I when I say that we would love to have you over for the summer to stay with us.
Yeah, I echo what Kat said there. Why does this keep happening tonight? What did I do to any of you? I think. God, it's a war. She lights up at the prospect, but then she turns to look at the honestly the direction where Maria is, and she says that that would be that sounds really lovely, but given what I just said, Valya, you will have to put up with you'll have to put up with a baby in your premises.
The house is more than big enough, and I'm sure that a girl from France would be able to take care of her quite simply.
Good.
I promise it will be a wonderful time. And invite your husband if you wish, and invite your brother for sure.
Jeez, I'm just hoping Count Victor has like a convenient. No, he gave up his position. Damn it!
That's right. Oh,
Oh, you. Oh God. Oh my God. What are we doing? Why are we doing this? What are we?
He gave it up for a civil position, which could mean he's in Moscow a lot.
There's definitely the chance he might be asked to settle some of the minority questions by going and making a personal report. So
There's a chance. What I think, hold on, let me look at my inner conflict here.
husbands can be encouraged in such endeavors.
Okay. Sorry, I'm looking. Oh, go ahead.
I would assume that a military man would quickly grow bored of civilian life and jump at any opportunity to strike out on some new adventure.
Not after he filled our house with flowers and made a heartfelt proclamation, giving all that up and then having a. Oh God, this is so. Oh God. Oh God. Wait, what? Like 3 people in this entire series of maybe have to like. Oh God. I'm just waiting for Richard's turn. Hold on. No, I need a moment. I need to look at my inner conflict. Which one? Which one to do? Can I say at this moment I hear Toma's voice from outside the room? I don't know if I have to give a resolve token for that. Maybe to myself.
I'll walk in.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah. I'll give you a token for you to walk in and
Great.
make this
Nah,
a bit more.
Just spend it. You don't need to give it to her. It's not against her.
We'll just walk in.
Yeah.
And here is my lovely wife now. My dear, I was just telling dear Shura that she needs to come and stay for the summer. And I'm having quite the hard time convincing her, so maybe you could assist me.
Well, of course. And she like walks in and places her arm sort of around Valya's waist and says, "You absolutely must come."
Oh, God. I think Shura's flustered enough to like. I think Toma, it's been well, I was just wondering if it would be. I was just telling Valya here how having Maria has been such a change that I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to impose her and her needs or anything of the sort on yourselves.
And I told her we could get an au pair. But oh, I think I see Grisha, so I'm going to leave the 2 of you to catch up.
Sounds good, dear. The door closes, and Toma is immediately way too close to Sasha.
You shady bitches.
I know. So why don't you want to come for the summer?
Out of character, can I ask for a reprieve for a moment? I need to.
Need a break?
Yeah, I need a break.
We can flash back on this conversation next session if we want to.
No. Just like a short one. I just want to like cut to. I want to see what Grisha's up to first.
Yeah.
We can also veil it. I mean.
No. I do want this conversation because.
Okay, cool.
Oh God.
Because we've not had a proper.
Flooded for punishment.
I'm just thinking for the story, this needs to be on screen. It's just
Who amongst us is not a glutton for punishment today?
Yeah, like
we're all here for it.
Yeah, exactly. After what happened last time, and then we're like, oh, yes, let's do it again. You know, how are we? Not...
We all came back. We signed on.
I didn't dare St. Michael not to punish it, to bring his bet to do his worst. Yeah. For him not to do his worst. Shura, do you have the child, Maria? Or can I be uncling?
Yeah, you can be uncling. I think this conversation has just Shura has been herself because she did just say like, Maria's not here, and she's feeling weird about it. But yeah, Maria could be with you.
I think when you find me, Valya, I all smiles, but in that way, you know that it's like I am ready to get rid of something, and I am handing Maria, who has clearly just pooped, to someone who works for the household. I have not stopped smiling, but I am clearly ready for the current happy situation to become a different happy situation, or a drink, whichever. And I've not seen you yet.
Well, lo and behold, I appear with a drink in hand, and I say, "Fatherhood suits you, my dear friend. You should consider having one of your own."
At which point I take the drink and I give a forced laugh. And I'm like, and then I give you the full like hug and kiss because we've not seen each other. And my smile is briefly sincere before I say, why, dear friend, do you curse me with these words? Have I done something to offend you?
My dear man, if every time I pay you a compliment you think I am trying to wound you, you would be dead before the dawn.
Aren't children punishment?
To some.
Aren't they what happens when you do the wrong thing?
I think that a christening is probably not the best place to have this discussion, especially one for your own niece. But I'm inclined.
I'm saying this in a low tone of voice while talking to you, while smiling, looking like I'm adoring my niece, which I am sincerely in adoration of my niece. But I'm also very like, dear sweet Christ, why would you wish that on me?
Is that? Well, you must tell me everything. How does uncledom treat you? How does publishing treat you? Do you still have that lively assistant of yours keeping you on the towing the line?
Good God, Tony. And I list all the books that Tony has insisted we sign. And I immediately launch into someone at the university in Moscow who is signed with us, writing about the true origins of Christianity in Russia. This is my broken brain. It's immediately the first topic I thought of. And I talked about the Germans who have been writing the quest for the true origins of Christianity, and I'm like, let's talk about the true origins of Christianity in Russia.
And you see Valya's eyes immediately glaze over and change, like pirouettes the subject into, so I've just invited Shura to come stay with us for the summer, and I would be so happy if you could also come to stay. You could invite your professor for a special guest lecture.
Will Shura's husband be there?
It seemed improper not to extend the invitation, but I'm sure that the Count is going to be otherwise occupied. Or if he's not now, he will be.
I'm fairly certain the professor is secretly an atheist, and the lecture will only prove that, and it would terribly offend my brother-in-law, which is the greatest amusement I've had since you went on your honeymoon.
My dear sir, now you make me want to invite him.
I would love it. And how was Greece? I give you a very knowing look.
Greece was incredibly hospitable. And he regales you with like tales of just like the dancing and the like saying like between the lines like all of the shenanigans that we got up to.
Your Serenity, I expected these things of your wife, but thought you were such a genteel, pious. Of course, better Greece than Italy.
My dear sir, I shall not have you say a word against my wife. She brings out the best in me.
She does indeed. And of course I accept.
Good. And despite our discussions, I do not think that I will push very hard to have the Count attend. In fact, I think I'd rather keep the evening intimate.
Then what will I do to amuse myself?
I'm sure
I
you
lock eyes with you.
and I say, well, we shall be left to our own devices for quite some time, so I'm sure we must come up with something.
Well, I am looking forward to this season out in the country. Do you and the princess have plans this evening?
And I look back over to the closed door to the balcony, and I say, we did have plans to dine at one of the nicer hotels, but I I have the vague intention that we might not make it there. Is there something you might have in mind?
Well, I've taken a new hotel, and I list a fairly prominent hotel. And the dining room is fairly acceptable, if you would like to join me. Or I can have something sent up if you need to come by later.
Well, it has been party after party after party, and I do think that a quiet meal in an intimate setting with a dear friend is much more preferable to going out.
I'll have them send something up. Perhaps duck?
Something light, and plenty of wine.
I'll hold off on the French brandy until you've restored your strength.
And then Valentin reaches up a little bit and like tugs at his necktie and says, well, I can't wait to cut loose. But it seems, I do see someone I must say hello to. I shall see you later this evening.
I shall hope so.
Yeah, do we need to do that scene in the library or?
We can do it. Do you want to do the scene in the library next week? We'll just pick back up there.
What time is it? We have been going over quite a bit.
Yeah, we're a little bit over.
Yeah, it's a bit late where I am.
Well, we can. To be 100% honest, I kind of like that it's veiled.
Yeah.
And we can refer back to it. And
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think there's plenty of opportunities for that weekend at the country to just blow up. And if I don't see a couple of hissing lovers spats at this thing,
Oh yeah,
I will just shrug and say play to find out, but it would be cool.
I am trying to find a way for me and Valya to get into like a knockdown drag out. I'm very excited about it.
We have to blow up. That is like 100%.
We have to blow up. I think we have to accidentally sleep together and then get really mad at each other.
Yeah.
I did say lover spats.
That's what I mean. I think we have to accidentally sleep together.
No. You and Valya fighting is not a lover spat.
But if we accidentally sleep together and then we start to fight and have feelings and ruin our lives.
You keep saying accidental.
It's very technical.
The gentle balance of our marriage is important that we don't have sex.
It
would throw everything into chaos.
But we're gonna.
Sooner or later, I want to see Shura and Toma.
Oh yeah, we've got to fight.
I need to see Shura, express all of her feelings. Like it just needs to come out in a tidal wave.
Yeah, it's gonna be so good.
I mean, we've also just set up that Grisha is the philosophical proponent of free love, but Valya is the actual practitioner.
Oh dear God!
Which is not the only time that dynamic has come up in the history of Western literature or gay culture.
That's accurate, yeah.
You people are lovely, lovely monsters. I'll be 100% with you. I love this. I am so glad that we've done this and it's working out again. And B, I'm really happy that this is so different than the last time. And tragic in its own unique way. So I'm looking forward to this. Also, Connie is just sad, isn't he?
Connie is very sad.
Yeah, he's very sad. It's typical clan on the outside, existential crisis on the inside.
Yeah. I joked the other day to like a person that's way too young to understand the joke. They were like, "Oh yeah, well that person's the comedian," and I was like, "Yes," and all of them are very happy. And they were like, "Right," and I was like, "Oh my god,
Oh, you poor child.
that's not the thing, baby."
All right. I think we've done enough for one night. We
Yeah.
destroyed enough people. We'll meet again next week, and
Great.
it will be lovely. So I'm going to stop the recording now. Thank you, everyone. Do svidania, and I will see you all later. What have you done, you monster?
A terrible person.
It's like you averted tragedy for almost everyone except for Leandro.
Yeah, thanks for that.
I just want to point out you named her Kuznetsova as if she had married Shura, but she married me, so she should be Volokova.
I should be Volokova, not Kuznetsova. Yeah,
That's really gonna throw the secret.
it's really everyone's gonna know I'm queer.
It just keeps happening. Like, it's just going to keep happening. So,
Yep.
oh shit, I'm still unmuted. I didn't mean that. Now I'm going to be mutterings for myself.